Hey guys, it's been a cool year for my channel. 2013 I started into 2013. 2014 was a year of sort of just getting a few basic things, just finding my feet. 2015 was the year I started getting proper good knives, proper good gear. Started getting out and just making more of a deal of it. I've got up to 400 subscribers now, which of course is nothing compared to the big swinging dicks of the YouTube world, but yeah, and I obviously don't have the resources to be like Gideon's Tactical where I've got all brand new knives. I just kind of find stuff as I go. But yeah, I've overall been quite happy with it. I'm going to wrap up the year with the hits and the misses of the year. Thought we'd all like to do that, so it'll be just various categories of thing. Let's get into it. Alright, first of all, as I said, it's been a massive year. This first category is the fixed blade knife of the year. So this is just my favourite fixed blade knife that I handled all year. I went through a fair few, rotated some, so it's probably not a surprise, and I've been going on about it for a fair while, but my favourite fixed blade knife of the year is, I'm sorry, it's the Falkniven F1. I'm not going to talk about it much more because anyone who's watched more than probably 3 videos of mine, I've gone on about it enough. It's just my favourite knife. It just fits my hand. I like the aesthetic. I like everything about it. And it has definitely got me a Falkniven little fanboyness building up between. I like everything about it. I like the sheath even though it's a bit cheap. I like the steel. I like the handle. It's a very, very good knife. Favourite fixed blade knife of the year, the Falkniven F1. Next category. Favourite folding knife of the year. So the best folding knife I handled this year. This is a tricky one because it has been between two very clear contenders. It's between the Falkniven U2 and the Spyderco Delica 4. Although I like the U2 more, I think I'm going to give it to the Spyderco Delica 4 because it is probably it's the quintessential pocket knife in my opinion. This and the Benchmade Griptilian, maybe the Kershaw Skyline. It's about you just in that can't go wrong territory. There's going to be things about the U2 that people may not like. I can't see what you might find objectionable about this knife. In terms of bad enough that you would stop you from buying it. People would not buy a knife because it's narrow nick opening, which I understand, as the U2 rather is. This knife is just a solid one-hand opener, lock back, so it's a familiar lock. It's got a good, not great steel. It's for a good price. It's got a good handle. It's just remarkably solid, and it's probably the overall best pocket knife, most appealing all year. So the best pocket knife all year. Not my favourite necessarily, but the best, I would say. It's a place to start. I recommend these to anyone who's looking at buying a first good knife. You want to upgrade from carrying a Swiss Army knife, Spyderco Delica 4. The best axe of the year, and my Grand Swiss Brucks are not in this list because I didn't get any of them this year. So this is the axes that I've got this year. There's a few contenders, not a huge amount, but my favourite axe of this year is it's the Fiskars X7. How non-traditional. I like it more than the S-Wing. I even like it more than the Best Made. I like it a lot more than the SOG Fast Torque. This is a remarkably solid, very well priced, very high value piece of kit. High value I know is a very frequently spouted word, but it just is. It cuts, as you can see in my chopping video, it cuts about as deep as your traditional axe as well. It's like from, it's like a Star Trek axe. It's it looks modern. It looks like it's going to be a bit of a gimmick. It looks kind of like a slightly better version of all those nylon handled things you get at your local hardware store, but it is not. There's certainly refinement in this tool, and it's definitely my favourite axe that I picked up during the year. So the Fiskars X7. Surprise. I was surprised. My favourite saw. Well, what was my favourite saw? The Silky Gomboy was my favourite saw of the year. Silky Gomboy 210mm saw. I think this is the 210. Yeah, 240, sorry. Anyway, the Silky Gone Boy is just a chainsaw on a handle. It's very, very, very good. I was going to say the Sven saw, very close. I did sort of toss up between the two of them. I think the Laplander I got last year, so it's not really eligible. But even still, I think the Gone Boy is just my favourite saw in general. Even more than my big old Barco bow saw. It's just something about how quick this thing cuts on the pull stroke. Minimal effort, very clean cuts. Very, very solid. The Silky Gone Boy. Favourite saw of the year. My favourite bag or backpack of the year. Well, I've got a few backpacks this year. I reckon the one I've enjoyed most, it's not my daily walker. The bag I've enjoyed the most this year is actually the Marivel's duffel bag by Cotopaxi. You look a few videos down, it's got about 30 views, the review of it. It is just the best value, especially if you're in America. Even if you're in Australia, it's made of super tough, super light material. It's just an awesome utility bag. I know it's silly, it's just one compartment with one other zipper on the side. It's very, very basic, but for $35 US, it ends up being about 60 bucks in Australia. It's bright, it's cheerful looking, it's really well made, ultra strong. It fits a whole bunch of stuff in it. We get a whole family's swimming pool outing worth of stuff in there. Towels, bathers, change of clothes, just stuff in there. It is brilliant. So the Marivel's duffel bag is the one. Best multi-tool. Well, I had a few multi-tools come and go through the year. It really comes down to the Swiss tool and the Surge. And yeah, it's probably going to be the Surge. It's been not weighing on me. These things don't keep me up at night. I like my gear, but when I think about it, I'd probably recommend the Surge over the Swiss tool if you sort of had one to choose from. If someone twisted my arm, I'd go Surge, and that's what would come out. So yeah, the Leatherman Surge just kind of has just the qualities of being a bit more versatile than the Swiss tool. Swiss tool is a great toolbox replacement, but those plier jaws, bit snub nose, a little bit wobbly as well, which is a bit of a bummer, and the Leatherman replaceable jaws, needle nose pliers. The tools that you want on the outside are on the outside, the less tools are on the inside, so everything's easy to get. The Surge has won the year for me, multi-tool wise. The biggest surprise of the year, the bit of gear that I took a gamble on, that I just really, really found myself over the moon with. There's a few entries. The ones I'm thinking of the most are the Essie Kangaroo, because I'm not really that keen on the fixed blades, but I'm rather keen on this, and the SOG Tsunami. And it's the SOG Tsunami. This thing is just like, I've had knives come and go a lot this year, and I just can't part with this thing. It's silly. It's like a ridiculous fighting knife, but I take it into the woods and I use it to process firewood, and it's got good AUS-8 steel that is tough, that holds its edge fairly well under woods-based tasks. It's not brittle. Probably a bit on the softer side, probably about a 56 on the Rockwell. Got a super comfortable handle. All the things about a good knife that you would say, if someone asked you to describe a good knife, they're all here, apart from maybe the Tanto Point. Well, me anyway, because my dream knife is an enclosed rubberized handle, or just a black understated micarta handle. Just a nice black handle is one thing. Enclosed tang, what I prefer. A nice lower guard, but without an upper guard. So there we go. Probably not a Tanto blade, but then a stainless steel sort of, yeah, what was it? 5/32 thick, or 1/8 of an inch thick blade. And this really has most of those all together for a mid-sized outdoor survival knife. That's what I like. That's what works for me. And you know what, the Tanto Point's just kind of a bit of a novelty that makes the knife just a bit cooler as well. So I don't know, is coolness a reason to put this at number one? Of course it is. What do we do with these things really? Like what are we mostly doing with our knives? YouTube knife people. We're taking them out and playing with them and making videos about them, aren't we? I mean, let's be realistic here. So this one is just super fun for that, but it's also practical. It's not just an art piece. It works really well. The SOG Tsunami, biggest surprise of the year. Wasn't sure I'd like it, and I love it. Thank you, SOG. Good stuff. Biggest disappointment of the year. Well, the original edge on the Dragonfly was a little bit crushing with those chips taken out the middle, but it's been fixed. So it was disappointing, has been fixed. Not the most disappointing thing of the year. The centering of the best made company hatchet, and that it ended up being a council tool hatchet with a bit of an expensive handle on it. Not a bad thing, nothing wrong with being a council tool hatchet, just the mystique was gone, sort of. There was just a couple of things. This guard not having a proper finger catch on it to take it off. It's a well-functioning axe, make no mistake, but just that aluminium wedge swelling where they've bashed it in. The price, the general, it's not as cool as those velvet cuts which they're branding, which are the other ones they're selling. So fool me once for buying best made. I don't know, I like the company, and I know people think they're shills and that sort of stuff, but my argument is they put good stuff in a well-presented package. You pay a little bit more for it probably, but they're one of the few people that send quite painlessly to Australia all this cool stuff. So that's why I do keep going back to them. But yeah, this one was a little bit of a bummer, just seeing that top, and I had to sort of rework the handle. It came varnished. Like, this is just a basic mistake. Everyone who knows anything about axes knows that you don't put varnish on an axe handle. But you know, it's all stuff that was fixed. So not the most disappointing thing of the year. The most disappointing thing of the year for me was, well, it's going to be a breakage, isn't it? So I guess we should talk about both the major breakages that happened. Was it this one? now probably one of the most expensive butter knives I've got. No, I kid. That's still a workable edge. Just trying to make something of that tip there. Probably not happening. This broke from my own stupidity. I can't knock Gerber for making a knife that doesn't withstand me hitting it into a tree and standing on it. That was a toughness test done for your own entertainment, and perhaps a bit of dramatic, you know, if the knife passed it, it'd be amazing, I could shower it with praise. So that's not the most disappointing item of the year either, and really I didn't have the highest hopes for it either. The most disappointing thing of the year was when the knife that is supposed to be made for the African warrior to use as one tool to roam the Badlands and do all of his tasks, the cold steel bushman, when that broke from batoning it through a log that was probably about 3 inches across, straight grain, fairly straight anyway, maybe a slight knot, that was the most disappointing thing of the year. It's SK5 steel as well, which is, it's not a super high carbon steel, not super high. Shouldn't be brittle. Something went wrong here, and it'd be an issue with the composition or something. But that was disappointing when it happened, because you can't make anything of that. That knife's just fucked. It's not. You can't get back from having that in a knife. It'd be good perhaps as a last ditch spear or something like that, but that's about it. So that was the most disappointing thing of the year for me. It is what it is. Best YouTube channel of the year that I watch. Who's had a good year? Well, Black Owl Outdoors, continually expanding their quality and their scope of their videos. I wonder what they're going to be doing this time next year. They were professional from the beginning. Crick's manner on camera has improved tenfold, easily. It's still very much him, still very personal, but he's taking on the role of frontman for the channel, better and better every time. So his camera work is getting better, sharper, very, very cool stuff. Not just doing endless gear reviews, they're not just, you know, they've never been a channel that, and this isn't a criticism, but the reason they're different is because they've never hammered us with shredded and through night and all that stuff. Like, they're obviously getting the only things they're reviewing are stuff they get sent. You can tell they buy a lot of the stuff they get reviewed, or they get, because they're so good, they get picked by the cool little niche companies to try stuff, which is cool, which is a good indictment of you know, where they are as a channel. So Black Owl Outdoors are doing really, really well. Nothing against people, of course, nothing against people who review Straight and Through Night and the bigger. Gerber sent me the knife that I was talking about that broke, haven't heard from him since, but you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, people send you stuff, of course you're going to review it, but they've just got that variety which you can't knock. Brilliant stuff. So I'd probably put them at number 1, but some honourable mentions. You just can't knock Gideon's Tactical either. It's just the sheer turnover of knives he has, like, that's insane. Whether he's the busiest trader ever or whether he's just got lots of money to buy lots of different knives, super impressive. Probably pumps out a good new in-depth knife review every week with full-on testing and demonstration. Nothing fancy. He's pretty affluent and pretty... not affluent. He's pretty... what's the word? He has a high output. There's a word for it, but it's not that. He has a high output, but it's often just tabletop with a bit of perhaps footage spliced in. A bit like me. Gideon's Tactical was mainly in the field, just smashing his knife through things, hard use testing, long-term testing as well. So here's the channel that I would aspire to be myself, which is very, very cool. Probably a bit more stern than I am, but that's fine, that's him, that's him. So Gideon's Tactical, you can't knock him. My other favourite channel is It's a Wonderful Knife, but he hasn't made anything for ages, so make some new videos, Abe. Jeez. So those are my favourite YouTube channels of the year, the best ones. Black Ale Outdoors, who are some other good ones? You know what, I think we all watch the same. If you're watching me, you watch all the big channels, and they're the only ones I'm really going to talk about. The ones I enjoy on a more personal level are the personality-based ones, like Nicest Knives. I like Everyday Knife Guy. I like It's a Wonderful Knife as well. They got sort of more small time, under 5,000 subs, like a bit more talky, and so that's what I enjoy personally. But if I'm come across someone who's getting into the hobby, pointing towards Black Owl, pointing towards Gideon's Tactical, probably pointing towards Crockett as well. Just the pros, so good on them. Next category. Talked enough about that, jeez. Overall, shittiest product of the year. This isn't one of the ones that came through and broke. This is just the shittiest product that I bought myself of the year. So Cold Steel's won that category, and the Bushman's not a shitty product. Most Bushmans, for as far as I can tell, are pretty good products. Mine just broke. My particular product. Although I say I review gear, I can only review one piece of gear, so you must always take what happens to my gear with a pinch of salt. But in terms of a product just not working, the Boker Magnum Little Pal sucks. This isn't a good neck knife. The sheath, it's rattly sheath, whoop, and when you drop it, the knife falls out of the sheath. The steel is ultra low quality, and it's probably a bit too thick. I don't know. Very, very hard to get an edge on it. It's not hollow ground, it's just saber ground. There's just some poor choices with this knife, especially now that I've got a good neck knife, which is the Essie Kangaroo, which is only a little bit bigger, probably about the same length of actual cutting surface. But this is how you do a neck knife properly. This Boker it suffers from Rat 2 syndrome, where they've shrunk what would be a good handle if it was about 1.5 inches longer into something that kind of cramps your hand up on it. And I'm like the large size gloves guy from Gideon's Tactical, like Aaron. My hands aren't super small, but I think even people with super small hands, except for maybe a child, would find this knife uncomfortable to use. Really hard to get sharp. I got it sharp in the end. It stayed sharp for about 3 cuts, and now it's just relegated to the role of a scraper. And you know what else makes a good scraper? A scraper that doesn't cost $40. So yeah, the Boker Magnum's the shittiest product of the year that came across my desk anyway. Sorry. Best product under 50 Australian dollars. 50 Australian dollars doesn't get you very much for a knife, but for $47 I think, plus a bit of shipping, I won't include shipping, a bit of extra shipping, $40. Got the Schrade SCHF, what is it, 36? And this is a lot of knife for that much money. It's a bit ridiculous. This is a super capable knife. My tip is gone because I must just suck with the work sharp. I think I just get too zealous and I go too far around the front. The tip's just a little bit rounded off. Not that it matters, because this is just a big hammering sort of emergency knife through and through. Use it for most applications. Saber ground, $10.95 steel. You get a lot for your money. So the best product under $50 that I've got this year is the Schrade SCHF 36. Very, very cool. And yeah, you do. There's on Schrade. You really can't knock them. They're definitely fulfilling a need. You know who could stand to be a bit more like Schrade? Gerber. Gerber could stand to be a bit more like Schrade. Engage with the YouTube community a bit more. I know they sent me the Ultimate Pro, but send stuff to the good guy. Send stuff to Survival on Purpose, who's a good gear reviewer who will review things thoroughly and consistently and almost. I think he might. I'm not whether he does this as a full-time thing. I don't know. Send some to Chris Tanner. Gerber needs to get on board like Schrade got on board with all of us, because we know what we like to see knives do, and all this stuff's Chinese, but you know what, so is most of Gerber's stuff. So you really can't knock them. I mean, you can when they release a shitty product that is hideously ugly, like those ceramic folders they do with the huge open space there, like whoa. But yeah, I would suggest that if Gerber were a bit more like Schrade with their Chinese-made stuff, lowered the price a bit, sold it for what it was worth, they would probably have a bit of a better year than they have. They've had a good year with their US stuff, but I haven't seen anything notable that was made in China come from Gerber, so this year. Schrade SEHF 36, best product under 50 bucks. Full shoulder. The year's best torch is the Olight, S1 Baton. 500 lumens from one CR123 battery. The thing is tiny, could almost be a keyring torch. Very close was the, in my opinion, was the Surefire Titan, which, yeah, I've got on here. Surefire Titan was very good. It's a keychain torch through and through, but yeah, this S1 just clinches it. I know this has got the battery advantage because it's a AAA. Still very bright, 125 lumens I think, single AAA. 500 lumens, man, just obscene. Good runtime, can tail stand, magnetic back, best torch of the year without a doubt. Best gear company. The best gear company for 2015, as I've been watching 2015 unfold, well, you look at even my favourites, like Spyderco have had a bit of a weird year with their new products, and this isn't from products that I've handled, I guess, so this is where I'm more speculative and just commenting on the industry in general. Spyderco have had a bit of a weird year with the Rubicon folder, which was a bit huge and strange and very much an acquired taste. Even their latest flipper knife, kind of outclassed by Kaiser and what's the other one? Lion Steel's exchangeable flipper thingy. The GSD, is it? No, that's the CRK thing. Ignore that. The Lion Steel's what's it? Try, yeah, whatever it is. TRE. So even that's been a bit. Spyderco's had a weird year, is my thing. Cold Steel have had a good year, upgrading all their steel, but I reckon next year will be the year for me and Cold Steel, because Australia's knife laws have finally loosened up in terms of imports. So Cold Steel folders will be back in as of December 14th, which is cool. SOG have kind of had nothing too remarkable to come out of SOG. Benchmade have kind of stagnated a bit. Lots of the big ones kind of just sitting on their laurels, perhaps a bit conservative. You're getting a few real pushing the envelope, zero tolerance really pushing the envelope, and then you're getting, this isn't just knives. In terms of torches, Olight have really put out a fantastic torch, the S1 Baton. You've got bag companies, Cotopaxi really taking off, but I think the best gear company, and it is knives because I like knives the most out of all things I deal with, LT Wright, man. LT Wright are killing it this year. They have done, think this time last year, they made the Genesis and the GNS and that's it. Whereas now they've got the Powerhouse where you can pretty much get semi-custom or fully custom knives as they come off the production line if you sign up to that. They're making knives with YouTubers who know what kind of knives that knife people want. So they're making a knife they made two knives for Chris Tanner. They made the Jess Muck from Prepared Mind 101. They've made that new giant Jessica, he calls his all of his knives Jessica. They've got a big chopper coming out. They made William Myers' Mantis knife. They make specialised knives for people whose hands get all messed up during combat. And they're just thoroughly decent people to deal with. And their prices are really good. And all their knives cost about 150 US bucks. And they come with a good sheath, which is, you don't get lots of knives. Trust me, when you get Essies and they sometimes don't come with sheaths, or they just come with a single Taco Kydex sleeve without any retention method. attachment method to your belt. They come with a proper JR Industries sheath for $150 US. They use good steels. I think the worst steel they use is 01, which is not a bad steel at all. I haven't seen anything in 1095 from them for a while. I think they might have almost phased it out. I don't know, don't quote me on that. Not even 1095, that's not even bad. So all their stuff is just super good material, super well made, engaging with the community, listening to what people want, varying their line, selling for a good price, and again, just nice, friendly people. LT Rider, the gear company of the year, for sure. Favourite miscellaneous camp item of the year is the Nature Lunchbox. I love that Nature Lunchbox. It is a brilliant survival kit, it's a brilliant camp piece of cookware, all in one, self-enclosed, self-contained. The lid locks down but it doesn't need the handle threaded through it like lots of others. Very, very good price. Australian company, Nature Lunchbox. Look it up. I've got a video a bit further down about it. I really can't say anything negative about it. It's made of food grade stainless steel, so you can cook in it safely. It's not going to poison you, it's not anodized aluminium or anything like that. No BPAs, it's good for the environment. All the good things are happening at Nature Lunchbox, so I just implore you to check them out because they make some very, very solid stuff. Nature Lunchbox, especially the Tiffin, which is the one with the locking clamps. I'll roll in some video. I haven't got it up here in my shed with me at the minute. But yeah, the Tiffin Lunchbox from Nature Lunchbox, my favourite miscellaneous camp gear of the year. Favourite piece of EDC gear? The brass cap from Best Made. I love this thing. What am I keeping in it now? You know what is a handy thing to keep in it? Anti-nausea medicine, which is what I have here. It's one of those little anti-nausea waffles you'll keep under your tongue. Got some prescribed last time we had gastro or something like that. Just keep one on Danzatron. Just kept one. Just if you're ever in a bind, like on a long car trip or something like that, keeping something little like that and a little capsule on your keys that you barely notice, but also looks super cool, definitely winning for me. So that's my favourite little miscellaneous EDC item of the year, the Best Made brass capture. They've got some cool brass stuff. I like them. I like the company. I'm not, I'm a bit of an apologist for liking them because I know all the cool people in the gear community think they're hacks and think all they do is rebrand stuff for extra money. But as I said before, it's putting it all in the one spot. For people like me, live overseas, to find it all, it's just good. If you're happy to pay a little bit extra to have them find the stuff for you rather than you have to just troll all the internet sites in the world to find what nice gear is around, then it's worth the little extra, I think. Let's talk about knives some more. Let's just go, we're going to go, the best traditional folder of the year, my favourite traditional, is the Falcon U2, for obvious reasons. Probably my favourite knife of the year. Probably not the best, like overall best is, I'm going to go with the Delica, the one knife I handled this year, the one I'd recommend to anyone at first. But for me, the U2 is my favourite. Classic knife of the year. Best hard use knife of the year. Well, it's a tricky one, you know. My instant reaction was to say the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, and I'd flick it up. Whoa, flick it up. So the Paramilitary 2 for sure. This thing's a beast. You can do anything you want with it and cut all the things, hard use it and stick it in things and pry and but it's too nice to do that with. It is. It's expensive. You're not going to hard use something that's expensive. You get this because you enjoy it. The best hard use knife of the year is the SE Kangaroo. You can keep it in your pocket. It has a bit of a big, that's the pocket clip that's going to be sticking out. So you know what? If that's a problem for you, then maybe wear it around your neck or get this Paramilitary 2 or on something else, a little leather belt sheath, Bark River. But in terms of hard use knife, you can't go wrong with a mini fixed blade like this. Very, very cool. I've done all sorts of little weird impromptu things with this so far. I had a faucet that was rusted to a tap, and I just poked the tip in, worked it around, gave it a bit of a twist. I would never do that with my Paramilitary. This was like $90, and I'm happy to spend $90. And I know 1095 steel is tough, and even if I do muck it up a little bit, I can re-edge it fine. So I'm going to use this for way more hard use applications than the Paramilitary 2. So this is the best hard use knife of the year for sure, the SE Kangaroo. So that just about wraps up the awards section of the night. What am I going to be doing next year? I'm going to be going on more adventure type dealies, so I'll be more sort of adventures perhaps with me and Ada, cruising around, maybe Cedric if we go somewhere that has wheelchair access. I don't know. So me and Ada might be going on a few more adventures, might even go on a kayak. I'm going kayaking with the wife. Might put that on video. Not sure if she'd bear being on camera, but I'll bring some gear along. You see some gear being used, that'll be cool. I am planning on implementing a proper scoring system for knives, seeing as I do a lot of knives, because knives are definitely a main interest of mine. So I'll probably be doing a proper scoring system, so I can at least, they can have an index of what all the scores are. I'm gonna, you know what, about 3 months ago I started a written site, but then I kind of just put it on, I sort of hid it on the blog spot sort of thing, and the idea was that it would be sort of written versions of the reviews I do with this same scoring system. It was heavily influenced by everyday commentary, so I don't really want to rip him off, so I've been back to the drawing board with it. I'm going to try again, but yeah, I'll be working on that I think as well. But yeah, so scored knife system, more outdoor adventures. I'm going to try doing a bit more versatility in what I review, because not everyone likes knives. Some people are really interested in, you know, new camping stuff and new stoves and all that sort of stuff. So gear in my future, the knife laws have just loosened up, so a Benchmade 940 is hopefully coming my way very soon. I've asked for it for my birthday like a child, so fingers crossed that comes and lands in my lap. Other gear, I'm probably all spent on axes. I look at my axe collection, can't see how I can improve on it. So from this point on it'll just be me cycling stuff out, getting new knives, getting more gear, going on adventures, or, you know, as some people would call them, walks, but you know, I'll call them adventures in the title of the movies so I sound really cool and so people watch me, and you know, I'll continually use, I'm going to continue to use orchestrated Final Fantasy themes as the background music, because that's my bag, baby. Yeah, no one's picked that up yet, what the music is that I use in lots of my things, but that's what it is, because I don't claim copyright from it. I'm not going to monetize the channel, of course not. I've got no interest in that. Purely, I want to have as minimal ads as possible coming up. If I ever get into a position where I've got 500,000 subscribers and getting 20 million minutes a week watched, then fuck yeah, I'll monetize because I want to make money from this. That'll be awesome. But right now, I'm not going to try and make 30 cents a month from the meager viewership I have, because I appreciate it too much, because you're all giving a lot of time to watch me fuck around in the woods or in my backyard with knives. So, but I do the same for everyone else too. So there we go. Anyway, Merry Christmas, or happy whatever holiday you celebrate. Happy non-religious sort of community festival, whatever you're doing. But Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, have a cracking Kwanzaa,